radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Well. Good evening, everybody. Fade to Black. It is Thursday, March 16th, 2023. And tonight, on this very special episode, the show must go on. My guest tonight is Cristina Gomez. We're going to be discussing Bigfoot. Ronnie LeBlanc let us know about 20 minutes ago that he had a family emergency and had to cancel and reschedule his appearance tonight on the show. But we've got a show to do. You guys are here. You guys are waiting for Fade to Black. And so what do I do? What do I do? Well, you know what? You call a professional. You get on the phone and go, what are you doing in 10 minutes? Are you busy? What's going on, church? I've got a last minute you know what? Let's do this. So let's welcome back Cristina Gomez. Cristina, welcome. How you doing?
Jimmy, thank you so much for letting me be here. I feel like I haven't seen you in such a long time. How have you been?
Oh, man, this is just like one long show.
Feels like it. And for those that don't know, he was just on my show a few hours ago. We do Mysteries with a History every single Thursday, and this week was the Mysteries of Britain Part 2. So I only saw him a few hours ago. And yeah, I got the phone call 20 minutes ago. I was literally stuffing my face with mashed potatoes. And he's like, can you make it? And I'm like, I'll be there.
And see, here's the thing. At a moment like that, you're not canceling the show. You're not going to do that. And so my brain fired off for about 5 or 10 seconds, about options and things. And I thought, A, I haven't done a Bigfoot show in a long time, so we're going to do that. B, you call friends, right? That's what you do. You call friends, and I made one phone call. I called Christine. She was like, let's go. It was really, thank you, Cristina. Let's do this. And also, so tonight, we'll get the audience involved. Let's answer all of your questions about Bigfoot, your ideas, your theories. Help us move this show along in your ideas and your theories, so Cristina and I can chime in and say you're wrong, and we'll have a full night of that. And there you go. It was a great show, by the way, earlier today. I really enjoyed that. Earlier we did King Arthur. The thing is, well, I said, King Arthur. It was a show about UK mysteries, the Britain mysteries. But when you get King Arthur, you get the Holy Grail and the Lady of the Lake and Merlin and all of the Knights of the Round Table and all of that fun stuff that are around that. And it was great. I really enjoyed that show. That was a lot of fun.
I probably one of my favorites this month so far. But talking about Bigfoot, that's why people are here. Very specifically, Expedition Bigfoot. I watched the first season. I know they're on season 3 now. I watched the first one and I liked it. I liked the team that they had on the show. They had a primatologist who is Dr. Mayer. And then you had Bryce Johnson, who has a background in acting, and he's kind of like the head of the entire show, getting the connections and talking about the cases and kind of directing his team on where to go and what to do. I really liked his part in it. And then also you have Russell Accord, who is a survivalist. Really, that's what he is. And he has Yeah, and he has an incredible background being a retired army sergeant, excuse me, and he's also an author of Footprints of a Legend and Bigfoot and the Tripwire, which is really interesting that you're having someone with his background to have such a fascination with Bigfoot. And then, of course, you have Ronnie LeBlanc, who also brings a really unique piece to the entire show. So, again, I've only seen the first season. I did like it overall, but when it comes to these TV shows, looking at cryptids, looking at Bigfoot, it's a lot of like, oh, did you see this? And the audience never sees anything. I mean, I expect nothing less, but I'm always a little sad.
Yeah, and Russ, I had a chance to hang out with him for a weekend. It's a big dude.
Really?
Yeah, he throw on a little gorilla suit. There you go. No, he is a big guy. He's tall. He's muscular. He's in shape. Funny, really nice guy. Great personality, but the opposite of what you would think from such just a big guy that is formidable. He's a big guy.
Well, it's usually the big guys with a lot of tattoos have like the softest hearts and the smallest dogs.
Usually, smallest dogs. I know. Oh man, I got to reach out to Russ and get him on the show and ask him about his dogs.
How big are they?
So I'm gonna the questions are coming in, and I've just seen a couple of good ones, and so I'm gonna start marking these. Everybody, if you could put them in all caps, that would be great too as well, so I can see them. Right, even though I'm not wearing glasses, and I can read, I can see. Yeah, man, it's pretty awesome. Okay, let's start here. We were just talking about Expedition Bigfoot, and I'm not poo-pooing on that show, but I have said many because I think it's a really good Bigfoot series. But I have cracked a joke over the years about Bigfoot TV shows.
Let's hear it.
You already know the ending, right? And do you feel that? Do you feel that, Cristina? You already know the ending, right? If Bigfoot was caught on camera for real on one of these shows, we would know about it, right? They would advertise that in advance. They would do the live edition, right? Bigfoot live, if you know what I mean. Do you feel that way? Do you think you already know the ending?
Pretty much. And I think the big thing that gets these TV shows so many viewers is the amazing production and the editing. I think that's like the key, but also do keep in mind that for a lot of these TV shows, they do bring in professionals, they bring in professional equipment and those that are decently knowledgeable in the field. I'm not saying that's the case for all of them, and I have not seen all of them, but I have seen Expedition Bigfoot, and I've also seen a few episodes with Les Stroud when he did his show on Bigfoot, and I really enjoyed that as well. Very specifically on his YouTube channel, he likes to go in depth on his episodes and talk about things that aren't shown on the show. And I do wish that more reality TV shows would do that. I know Skinwalker Ranch does that with the Insider membership. They have their own, they talk about the episodes that have already been aired and go into detail. And then Les Shroud. Now, I do wish this to be the same with Expedition Bigfoot because there's so much that doesn't make the show. Right? Because you only have 45 minutes to cram everything in, if that. And so there's a lot of sacrifices when it comes to editing, and it's disappointing. But at the same time, with these shows, the reason to why there are so many of them, so many different Bigfoot shows, is because people are curious. They want to understand. They want to know what's lurking in our forests, and it piques so many people's interest, curiosity, and also imagination.
What do you think the best evidence is so far when it comes to Bigfoot?
The best evidence so far, one researcher who I've spoken to, and I love her work, is Emily Fleur. She's another Gen Z researcher who does lots of boots on the ground investigations. And it's looking at it's speaking to the researchers, the pioneers, looking for footprints, using the best camera equipment that you have. But overall, the best piece of evidence are those, in my opinion, are those that have had sightings, speaking to them, and then kind of pinpointing an area on where to continue your research. There are Bigfoot organizations, such as Olympic, I believe, Olympus. You know the name, and because I'm not a Bigfoot researcher, so I don't know these names. But there are two organizations: the Bigfoot organization, and I believe it's Mount Olympus, Mount Olympic, something like this in Washington. And they speak to as many people as they can. They have websites to where people can place their sightings on the website so that the team members know where to look. Now, have we captured Bigfoot on film? There are a few people that claim that they have captured it. You also have the very famous film, the Gimlin Patterson film, which is you can't be interested in Bigfoot without looking at that very famous case video, excuse me. So I feel like it's really hard to say what the best piece of evidence is, especially with everyone's ideas and mentalities on this. And this is kind of how I see it. If Bigfoot does exist, and I tend to lean towards the sentient relic hominid theory, then the creature is the world's best hunter, tracker, and
Mhm.
predator. Not
Mhm.
only would it have all of the skills passed down through generations, but growing up to be stealthy in the forest. So it doesn't really surprise me how elusive the creature is. And that project, it's the Olympic project, that group I was referring to, came to mind.
Yeah, for me, it's the eyewitness testimony. I think that is and I know that is almost existential's not the right word. Well, maybe it kind of is actually, in that it's not what you would expect, but I think it's the eyewitness testimony, because if we fall beyond that, everything else is, I mean, would it hold up in court? Right? Would footprints hold up in court? Would the knocking on trees hold up in court? Would some of the film, even the Patterson Gimlin film, which I think is authentic, would stuff like that hold up in court? Probably not. But combined with the eyewitness testimony, there's been plenty of people convicted on just eyewitness testimony, right? And so that's, I saw him do it, right? So, and a lot of that's your guy, right? So that's pretty strong. And here's the other part with that. The reason why I would suggest something that seems that crazy is we don't. Elusive is as strong as that is. That's not even a strong enough term. It's not a strong enough word for what we're dealing with here, because it seems that every time, except for the Patterson Gimlin film, that every time you're this close, it gets moved. It gets moved, right? It gets moved. It gets moved. You never have the line crossed. It's like a strange. And so are we never meant to know the truth, or, and never meant to have this resolved? Well, possibly, maybe. Or is it that we're dealing with something that may be interdimensional? And is it possible? Maybe even like a ghost. Is that a possibility? When we have the combination of so many different things, except for a body, right? Except for, the one thing that would absolutely make this case closed is a body. And it's been avoided. It's like this crazy. So you have to ask why. I'm not so sure what's going on. So I think the best evidence that we have to support any of this is our eyeballs and the eyewitness testimony, although I've never seen one. Have you?
No, I have not. But if they are the world's best hunters,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
trackers, and predators, then I don't see why they wouldn't bury their loved ones as well.
Again, Yes. Okay, I could see that part of it too. And there's a lot of evidence to support that idea, not the bearing of loved ones, yes, but I mean a primate that is just a species that is just really good at avoiding us, right? So if
I would do the same if I could.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like my fellow human beings most of the time, but I could probably go and hide if I wanted to, right? You know what I mean? So is that possible? Plenty of species are discovered every single day. Every day, new species is discovered. And we can always go back and discuss the panda. And I like bringing up the panda. The reason why pandas are slow, they're big, not that smart, but they avoided us forever. All right, talk about a mythological creature. That's what the panda was until they were discovered, and that was what 100 years ago. It's like yesterday. So that's a really good way to look at things. Is it possible?
Well, look at the animal, the platypus. It's everything gone wrong in an animal. It's a mammal that lays eggs. It's poisonous. It has a duck beak and a beaver tail. For the longest time, when colonists were coming into the Americas, and they said, "No, this is a mythological creature. There's no way." But the natives were telling them, "No, this is a real animal. We've seen it." It wasn't until the very late 1700s did they finally find a body, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is a real animal." And if you just try to describe that,
the platypus is real.
I know, right? It's pretty wild.
Yeah. It's a really good point, Gomez. Cristina. That's really, I'm sorry I let that slip. That was not cool. But that's a really, really good point. Let me ask, okay. All right. I'm in control here. I'm going to try to stay in control of this show. I want to go with Severn Shot, who is visiting this show because of your show. But why does he throw rocks? I love this point. Okay, so I'm going to ask you that question in just a second. Many years ago, I have a friend that before Fade to Black, okay? I have a friend. I would say his name. Everybody knows who he is because he used to work for this show. But anyway, he said to me, his parents own a big tract of land in like Montana, right? 10, 20,000 acres, like a crazy ranch. So they're up at their ranch. And he said that every day when they were up there on vacation, they had a creek that was a mile from the house on their property. Can you imagine that? It's a mile from the house, but on their property. And he would fish. And so he was like 10, 11, 12 years old. And one summer, and he's going fishing, gets his fishing pole, gets on his ATV or whatever they have, and he rides to the creek, and there's not a cliff, but like a dirt, thing. And so he goes down that, it's real steep, and he goes out and he's fishing. And he says, while he's fishing, now he tells me, remember, this is before Fade to Black. This is just a story he's telling me. And he says, a rock goes bloop, 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 right next to him. And he's fishing, right? Kind of ignores it. He's not catching any fish. He walks up the creek, 10, 20 yards, starts fishing again. Bloop, 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 another rock. And now he says he's thinking somebody is on their property throwing rocks at him. Picks up his thing. He goes up the creek, and he said this time a basketball-sized rock, plop, boom, boom, and he spins around, and it was Bigfoot. And he said Bigfoot was looking at him from over the edge of the grass, and he said he's going eyeball to eyeball with Bigfoot staring at him, shoulders and head. And he, instead of running away, he runs up the dirt embankment at Bigfoot, right? And gets up to the top. And he said, and when he gets up to the top, he looks and he could see up the tree line, just for a split second, Bigfoot cutting in to the trees. And that was the last of it. He went fishing again, wasn't freaked out, but, you know, and this is a friend. It goes back to that eyewitness testimony, right, that you're talking about, or that I had brought up earlier. And for a friend of mine who I know and trust, it says something like that in a conversation and shares a Bigfoot story with you, I tend to believe them. So why does Bigfoot throw rocks in a case like that? That's his river, right? That's his river. You're in his spot. You're in, and he's just trying to get you, or she is just trying to get you out of there. Why do you think Bigfoot throws rocks?
I think it's because it's an effective and stealthy way to give a warning, right? If these things exist, I don't think that they want to kill humans, because if they're smart, they never will, because they know that it would bring company and search teams, right? But imagine to have an area where you have Bigfoot toddlers, like a family unit. I wonder if they throw stones as a way to ward off people, because it's effective, right? Because you don't know where these rocks are coming from, especially in a forest where, and the implication that the rock, even though it lands on the water or on the ground, the implication is that the next one will land on your head. So it's that warning, that fear factor, and you can fill in the blanks from there.
That makes a lot of sense. But so like my friend, where he turned around and ran up the hill, I think I would probably do that if I was 12. I don't know if I would do it at my age, right? I'm a little older and wiser. But when you're 10, 11, 12, you don't give a crap, right? Would you, if Bigfoot threw a rock at you and you spun around and you're looking, do you go at him?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the moment, but at this point in time, I don't really know, because having these rocks being thrown at you, it's very threatening. So I don't think I would run towards the Bigfoot and be like, "Hey, buddy, can I get your autograph or something?" I don't think I would do that, but I would like to have equipment next to me and hopefully record it on camera.
So, but that's kind of changing your tune to your previous position when you used to say to me, "Church, man, I would have Twinkies. I'd sit down. I'd go, yo, what's up?"
Well, just like you, I've gotten older and wiser, Jimmy.
That was last month.
Well, we grow every single day. But now if it was portals, Jimmy, I am going straight through that. No hesitation. Let's go. But the stone throwing aspect.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we're talking about right here and now. And again, that, from my understanding, it's to demonstrate, do not mess with us. Now, if I was just casually seeing a Bigfoot and it wasn't threatening me, I wasn't threatening it, then I would pull out the Twinkies. Then I would pull out the ramen and be like, "Hey, you want to have noodles with me? Come to my campsite. Let's catch up. Let's have a chat, right? I'll share my food if you just share me how to open portals, and I'm in."
Now, let's twist it because I kind of put words into your mouth. I think my previous question to you a couple of times over the time that we've been together on doing shows was that if you were sitting around, you've got your RV, you got a campfire going, and Bigfoot comes up, are you cool with that? Do you invite him into the campfire? And you had said yes to that. Okay, so maybe that's more of a direct question, not running at Bigfoot, because that just doesn't sound like a good idea to me. You're sitting at the campfire, Bigfoot smells your roasted marshmallows, and is curious, do you allow him to take a seat?
You betcha.
Okay. All right.
You betcha. There is no question there, because based off of the description that you had mentioned, I'm not showing hostility. The Bigfoot isn't showing hostility. It's not throwing rocks at me, right? So from there, we have a common ground and we can be friends. But again, if there was a situation where I'm in an area and I'm being threatened, of course I'm going to walk the other way. I only have one body, Jimmy.
Did you? Yeah, this makes two of us. Let me see here. Paul Martin's question was, he's up in Oregon. He hasn't seen a UFO. He hasn't seen Bigfoot. What's he doing wrong? I don't. In all of your interviews, I mean, I'll throw an answer or two out there. How would you go about squatching? What's Paul doing wrong? If you were going to go out squatching, how would you approach it?
First, you're going to have to go in all camo. I mean, that's going to be number one. Go in stealth mode. And then from there, I think it's just this level of patience from the Bigfoot researchers that I've spoken to publicly and privately, and even watching these TV shows and documentaries. Squatching takes a load of patience, hours of just sitting or lying down in one place. And in the world that we live in today, our attention span is maybe a minute, if that.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know. I find that pretty difficult, but I think it's that level of patience, hopefully confidence as well, that is going to help. But these things, even avoid like tree mounted cameras. There are stories, and I'm assuming you've heard the stories, where you have these hunter cameras on tree trunks where they believe there is Bigfoot activity. And when they return to those tree trunks, they realize that the trail cam has been moved. Now, for the most part, the majority of animals can't move that because they're on very tight. Some say you need opposable thumbs to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to avoid you like the plague. And
raccoons have opposable thumbs.
Raccoons are trash pandas, and they are so stinking cute. I've seen them as pets on the internet, and I'm like, do I need one? Yes.
I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I was out on my patio at the hotel in the morning. I'm drinking coffee. And I'm just looking over, and the back half of the patio, or the back half of the hotel, is like over Everglades, like swampy area. It was a park of some kind. But anyway, so I'm standing up. I was watching this raccoon in the middle of the day, big fat mama raccoon. I say it was a mama because she was running out of the thing across the parking lot into the trash can, right? I was watching her with her opposable thumbs, stuff going on. And then she gets something and would run back across the parking lot into the thing, drop it, whatever, and then come back. I thought, man, that is a smart. That is crazy. She's throwing stuff over her shoulders, man. It was like, wow. Oh, man. How bored am I that I spent 30 minutes watching a raccoon like I was in the Serengeti in Africa. Like I'm doing some nature show, and I'm just watching. So the mother raccoon is now coming up. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. So Jessica says, who was the guest on Bigfoot Week that showed the extended version of the patty? The guy pointed out in the video that was longer than a few seconds and showed a baby Bigfoot and two others in a tree. I kind of remember, I don't know if it was extended footage or if that was just found in the background. Do you remember that, Christina?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't think there is extended footage of the Patterson-Gimlin film. They shot that and that was it. I don't think there's any extra footage out there. I could be wrong, but what I do remember was in the background they felt that there was another Bigfoot peeking through the trees. That's what I kind of. I can't remember. Okay, let's see. I thought that I had some. Oh, did you mention this? The Olympic Project.
I did. Patrick, thank you so much for putting me on the right track. That was the one that I was referring to a little bit earlier. I said the Olympic and the Olympus, but it's the Olympic Project. So thank you so much for that, Patrick.
And let's see here. What is this? Bigfoot. I see. It's all caps. Interdimensional. It's actually pretty funny. Actually, could be. There's a reason when we talk about the possibility of that, some interdimensional situation. The reason why I think that is more of a possibility than anything else is because I was always on the fence when it came to Bigfoot, and for my own reasons, no body, no this, no that, you know, and things. But yet we have eyewitness and we have footprints and whatnot. I'll show everybody my Bigfoot prints in just a second. So, but the only thing that would explain something being so elusive was that the only thing that, you know, checks all the marks for me. For you, Cristina, it doesn't. I get that. But is that maybe it's something that's interdimensional. It's not that they're avoiding us. It's that they're not there for us to see them and catch up to them. But when we do see them, it's because they want to be seen at that moment, right? And so that's it. And you had mentioned camo earlier, right? And going out squatching. If you caught up with a squatch, camo or not or whatever, I think it's only because they would smell you from miles away. They would know that you were there. They staying out of sight from you. If they're that cunning, that smart, and the nose, and they're, you know, they do what they do, and we're in their world, they're going to stay in front of you. You're not going to sneak up on them, camo or not. I saw this Bigfoot comedy film a couple of weeks ago, and one of the Bigfoot chasers was what was it? Goat urine. Right? He's pouring goat urine, and it was a pretty funny scene. He's like, "Yeah, this is the only way that, you know, so they don't smell you." And funny scene in the movie, but I gotta say, pretty smart, right? Pretty smart because they would smell you or I, you know, our deodorant, our whatever our, you know, our odor is. It would smell us a mile away. So interdimensional, I'm okay with, but you're not interdimensional. You don't think that's where it is?
No, I think it's a really, really interesting theory. And I mean, it would go hand in hand with some unique cases of people vanishing without a trace in the wilderness. I mean, Dave Paulides, okay? Many of the cases he covers, pretty much most of the time, are in areas where there are a lot of Sasquatch sightings. Now, I've said this before, and I don't know if I've ever said it with you, Jimmy, but for a while, I didn't really find Bigfoot a really interesting cryptid. I'm like, okay, it's like another relic hominid. What's so cool about that? For myself personally, it was actually the stories where people had claimed they had seen Bigfoot enter and exit out of tree trunks, vanishing without a trace, footprints leading somewhere and then disappearing. It was that aspect, or what you would call the interdimensional aspect, that has to be the most fascinating about these creatures. And then if you look at the Native American legends and lore, for a lot of the tribes, they mentioned that it was kind of like a forest protector, but they should also be feared. And at the same time, they are the best trackers, better than any man could ever be. And when you look at these cases from these natives, and this we have spoken about, Jimmy, the way that they tell stories is so important for their culture. They have to go through training on how to properly tell their stories orally, tell their traditions orally without changing the story. And they can keep that same story for generations, for hundreds of years, and it didn't change when it was first told until the very end. And so when you're seeing these stories consistently of Bigfoot, I find that aspect the most credible, more than these modern sightings that your average person have. It's the ones from the natives that have grown up with these stories, that have respected these entities since the beginning, and where a lot of them, not all the tribes, but a handful of tribes talk about them being interdimensionals. I'm like, that's what I want to listen to. That's what I want to hear. That's who I want to speak to. But for the most part, they are very difficult to get a hold of because they do not usually tell their stories too publicly.
Why Bigfoot throw rocks? Because he doesn't have a Twitter account. I love that. I love that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Jamie says, I'd like to know why they bang on trees. I've been hearing that here. Okay. I'm going to poo-poo on this, Jamie. All right. But thank you for pointing that out. No, I don't think Bigfoot bangs on trees. All right. All right. Let me tell you why. First off, they can talk. Right? They don't need to bang on trees. Right. So they know where other members of their tribes are. And, you can hear a lion roar for 5 miles. I don't think Bigfoot is going to turn around and bang on a tree if they need to get a hold of somebody. No, it's not going to happen. Second, if you hear tree knocking, and I'm talking about you, Cristina, you're going to pick up a stick and bang on the tree back. Right? Too many humans do that. So why would you give away your location with banging on trees? I just don't think that you would. I don't. I know there's Bigfoot hunters out there right now that are losing their minds because of what I just said. But just think about that for a second. You're walking through the woods and you hear, dude, Bigfoot's banging on it. Why would he give away his location? Why would he? What's he warning? He's warning that somebody out that we are there. They already know we are there. You're not planting a flag and discovering me all of a sudden. They already know. So my logic tells me if they're that smart, they're not banging on trees.
If they do, it might be for hunting or surveillance, possibly, because a tree knock, it won't scare an animal like a massive roar, like you had mentioned. And I mean, a tree knock in the middle of nowhere, it wouldn't scare me. Like you said, I would knock back. But I really think that it's a great way for corralling your prey, messaging to other Bigfoot that it's time to move or attack, etc. So it could be, in a sense, a form of signaling more so than a scare tactic.
I don't know if it's signaling. It's more like a beacon. I'm over here. Why don't you just flash a flashlight in the air and tell everybody where you're at? You understand what I'm saying, right? You are giving away your location.
But if that's the case, no Bigfoot researcher has found the Bigfoot doing the tree knocks. Mm-hmm. So is it really giving away the location? I'm over here, but to others in the hunt, they might not hear it like that because they could move instantly if they wanted to. There are stories of Bigfoot even climbing trees, or they can jump from tree to tree. So they tree knock and they go somewhere else. So even if they were to give away their location, they can move a lot faster than we can.
Yeah, but you sort of answered my question for me, that it's not Bigfoot knocking on trees. It's somebody else knocking on trees. Yeah, think about your logic there is spot on.
It could be the puckwudgies because they're mischievous.
Could be puckwudgies. Puckwudgies would knock on a tree.
They definitely would.
Yeah, they would cause trouble. Okay, so this is from Jorgen Johansson. That's a great name. You think he's from Sweden? Or is that Finland? Iceland. Could be Iceland. Could be Iceland, maybe. Or Greenland.
Let us know, please.
No, I'm thinking Sweden. Sweden. I think he's the lead singer of a band, actually. Why do they smash trees and screams as if they don't want to be seen? When some say they use telepathy, wouldn't you rather telepath if you don't want to be seen. I guess that's right back to our point. It's, if you've got other tools at your disposal, you've got vocal cords, you've got something else. Why would you smash on trees? So,
well, what if, just like with people, what if there's different types of Bigfoot with their intellectual capacity? For instance, there are those that can allegedly remote view, those that can astral project, those that are telepathic or can do telekinesis as well. And so we have to be very careful in projecting our behaviors on them, right? I think that we have to, we have no clue how they think. And we have no clue how many different types of Bigfoot there are as well.
So Phil the Soccer says, I would run at Bigfoot. I'm not afraid. And then Margio comes back with, would you run with Bigfoot or just at Bigfoot? Right. So would you run with Bigfoot if he let you?
Good luck catching up.
So last night I had Chuck Fay here live in the bunker. And then after that, we after the show, we went out and did a sky. I saw a couple of things last night. Actually, it was very cool. So we both sky watched. We both had night vision, and we were out there for a minute. Then we had some dinner, and we sat around. He left at about 1 a.m. And we told a bunch of stories. And one of the things, man, that because he's got an RV right now, Christina, and I really bummed. I this morning I was like, I didn't get a picture of Chuck with his RV for Christina. That's my bad. But anyway, so he's been driving and camping all over California for the last couple of weeks since he's come in from Hong Kong. And he started talking about Bigfoot last night. And so we told a few Bigfoot stories. And he wanted to know about the Bigfoot prints, which I mentioned earlier. And then I told him this. So I had on the show Peter O'Toole, the actor, right? Okay. His son is Lorcan O'Toole. And now when I say son, I'm talking about Peter O'Toole. You're picturing, again, Lorcan's probably 50 years old now, right? Okay, so between 40 and 50. And about 5 years ago, I was with Lorcan, and we were at a ranch up in the Northwest. And he came up to me in the morning. So I brought him on Coast to Coast. I brought him on Fade to Black to tell his story. And this is what he said. So I pulled up in the morning and just had breakfast, and he comes running up. It's like 8 o'clock. He goes, dude, Bigfoot last night. I said, oh, really? What happened? Man, he ran out in front of this van. I said, what van? This van. The van that's parked there right now? Yes, this van was there last night. I said, okay. All right. Now you got my attention. What's up? I said, we're just walking, man. It was 2 a.m, and we heard, whoa, whoa. And we stopped, and then he stepped out in front of the van. I go, how big was he? He was taller than the van. This was a camper van, had an extended top.
Jeez.
I was like, how big was he? He's like 8 foot, 9 foot tall. Get out of here. He said, man, eyeball to eyeball. And we stopped, and we took a couple of steps back, and we stared at each other for about 10 seconds. And then he took off and ran. Now, what do you do with that? What do you do with that story? Do you call bid? Now, I believed him enough to bring him on Coast to Coast, right? I brought him on Fade to Black, had him tell the story. What do you do with that when you hear? And what I just said to you is the story. There's nothing more, nothing less to add to it. What do you do with that?
It's hard to say. I mean, what I'm very curious about are instances where witnesses observe a Bigfoot in the same time and area of a Bigfoot sighting.
Right.
I've spoken to a few people who won't tell their stories publicly because they have seen this and they feel like the ridicule factor is way too much to tell those stories or report them. So
Right.
it makes me wonder, how often that happens. What is that connection? Are the UFOs and Bigfoot both interdimensionals? And so I think that a lot of people that research the two, they ask these questions because we don't know. But the people that you've spoken to, because you've had quite a few Bigfoot researchers, do any of them have an answer or a speculation on why there are a good amount of sightings where you see Bigfoot and a UFO?
Interdimensional, right? I mean, and now there are a lot of Bigfoot researchers that totally poo-poo that idea.
There are.
And I think that there might be something more personal here, in that the Bigfoot community, which is probably much bigger than the UFO community, but the Bigfoot community, they just want that exclusively Bigfoot. They don't want to mix in UFOs and, they don't want it. No, it's a Bigfoot thing. And when I bring up the possibility of that, because we've all heard different instances of a UFO sighting and a Bigfoot sighting at the same time, and that we have to wonder if there is a connection. I have an open mind. I would like to consider something like that. There are members of the Bigfoot community that absolutely not. There's no connection. Then you have other Bigfoot researchers that say Bigfoot is extraterrestrial, right? That they come here from another planet. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Every time I think that I'm pretty close to having a really good theory and a good line of questions with that, I get struck down. I'm okay. And then we have, Christina, the best evidence of all, Wookiee. Wookiee. Tell me, is Wookiee a Bigfoot? Yes. What else is Wookiee supposed to be?
This
is Wookiee Bigfoot? You can't say no. Say no, I dare you. I double dare you. Say no. Say Wookiee is not a Bigfoot. You can't.
Well, for the most part, I do keep an open mind. I think that's the best way, because in any case, Jimmy, I am primarily fascinated with the UFO mystery. Of course, that's how my YouTube channel started. Right. UFO sightings and analysis only. Now, 2 years later, I'm in contact with Bigfoot researchers, ghost hunters, physicists. And I mean, I keep my mind open, but not so open that my brains would leak out, of course. But when we're looking at these conversations between Bigfoot and UFOs, or just the conversation of Bigfoot, once again, it is piquing your curiosity. It is piquing your imagination. But at the same time, it's touching back to your childhood interests, because all children love these mysteries. UFOs, Bigfoots, all types of cryptids, and everything in between. But as we get older, we just tell ourselves it's more important to focus on my 9 to 5, to pay the bills, to eat 3 meals a day, and to get a sufficient amount of sleep, that we forget about these impressive, amazing, and incredible mysteries that allow us to see the world not in black and white, but filled with so much color. And when we go into this mentality of only my 9 to 5 matters, only my bills matter, it's those people that suffer the most, because they don't see the beauty in the world, like those that are interested in these topics, even as an adult, and keep an open mind that anything is possible. We've been proven that time and time again. And I can bring the example of the platypus. For the longest time, it was a mythological creature. There was no way it could have existed. A mammal that lays eggs, and that's poisonous. That's wild. And then after people found out, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a real thing. And it added this extra level of interest, in my opinion.
Now, I have got, I think that, let me finish up that thought of yours, because I think that's great. And once you start Check this out. My cat has an extra digit.
There are some cats that do. It's really cute.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true? I think that we find more times than not exactly what you're saying. You jump into this world and you find that Bigfoot is connected to UFOs, and UFOs are connected to ghosts, and ghosts are connected to the and circles all the way around through science and religion, and right, that you can find ways to connect everything together. And once you start, you can find a way. You can connect Rennes-le-Château in France and that church and the Priory of Sion to Casper the Friendly Ghost. If you stay at it long enough, right? And you know what I'm saying? Everything is connected, and that's the beautiful part about it. But there are others out there that never stop and think about any of this.
That's right.
And that kind of sucks. That's boring to me. I mean, that's absolutely boring. Okay. Let me look at the clock. Okay, so I brought up the Bigfoot prints. So let me pop up these images here. And I'm getting really good at this, by the way. Really fast. Bam. Nice. See, that's pretty good. That was pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
fast. Okay, so here I am. There's Jason Quitt. And these are the four young men that, by the way, Jax today, here he is, he's 10. Jax today is 18. He's got a little goatee, drives a 4-wheel drive pickup truck, and he's just a and I was like, man, what happened? Where's all the time? That's Phoenix, and that's Fader 1 and Fader 2, right? So he's got a faded black hat on. That's pretty cool.
Nice. Some
good
fans.
Yeah. And here we are. I'm pointing down at the footprint, and you can see now in a second, I'll show you some more prints, but I wanted to show you the four that discovered this. And what led up to this, these four are running around in this forest playing, and I was over at a campfire, right? Smoking combustibles. And so I'm over this. I'm sitting by myself. And Phoenix, right here, he comes running up. And I just wanted some alone time because I have people pulling me, right? You know what I mean? All the time. And I was alone. And he comes up and says, hey, Jimmy, you wanted to see a Bigfoot print? And I'm like, no, I know. Actually, leave me alone. All right. And no, but Jimmy, we found a Bigfoot print. Good for you, man. Why don't you go play? Right. That's like, and I don't think I was that rude, but I was trying to be. And I go, man, how far away is it? How far do I have to walk? I swear to God, it's exactly what came out of my mouth. And he goes, it's right over there. And I look, and these three are standing there all looking at me. Right. And they're watching Phoenix talk to me. It's like, man, I got to go. I got to walk over there now. Great. So I'm just walking over thinking, what a waste, whatever. And I walk over and I step up and I look down and my hair did stand up. I mean, all the way down my neck. I mean, the tingle, I could not believe what I was looking at. So I'm looking down at this. Now, that's the bottom. That's the heel. That's the toes. Right? Look at the arch. You see the arch of the foot? Look at that. And this thing is that big. It's like 20 inches.
Wow.
It's huge. And it's deep. I stuck my whole finger down in this thing. And I'm looking at, what does that look like to you?
It looks like a footprint.
It's a foot this big, man. Like Shaq or bigger. So I'm looking at this, and then I stopped him and I said, hey, guys, I'm here. I said, wait a minute. If there's one, there's got to be more. Everybody,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I made everybody step back, and I And then next thing you know, it's like Phoenix goes, there's another one over here. Jackson's like, there's another one over here. Jason quit. I found another one. We found four. Left, right. And they were like 6 feet apart. 6 feet apart. Like I could lay down in between. And I did for measurement, and then we put flags down. We marked everything off. And we found 4 of those. So check that out. So let's go to this next image. Look at that. This is a footprint like number 2 or 3. Look at that thing. It's giant. See how the grass is all smashed?
Yeah.
So if you look at me, okay, see Jason quit, right? In shape, slender. He's not going to make a dent in the grass, right? Or in the ground. He's not. He doesn't have any, he's too skinny. Look at my fat ass. And I'm not denting. What is denting? You see my feet? They're not sinking into the ground, right? What was the size of this? And to my point, if I was going to hoax something, me, right? And I've got oversized Bigfoot clown shoes on, right? And I'm going to go and fake this. I'm not putting dents in the ground like that. So how does that happen? How? What? And I know I'm sounding like I'm a paradox, and I'm being hypocritical of myself. But something did that. I know that with my weight, I couldn't do it. And the ground was dry and hard. It was very, 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 very impressive. Look at this. So there's a dollar bill. There's the heel. That's the big toe out here. That's how big that's. Look at that. That thing was giant. Giant. There's a $20 bill next to another one. And there they are. These guys are so proud of themselves, Yeah, crazy. And then also look at the field. Okay, so this is a good shot. You see that camper back here?
That's what I had my eye on. It's a very nice looking RV, right up back there. They just need some external thermal cameras fit in.
The footprints went in an arch back towards this RV. They were in an arch. They were curving to the right behind them. Let's see if I've got, look at that thing. Yeah. Incredible. So what do you do with that? If you found, I've had friends like Steve Murillo and Michael Oeming, the comic book artist that I had on the show last week. They were up not in this, but in this general area on this Indian reservation. And they found Bigfoot prints just outside of, it wasn't quite a cave, but it was a big indent going in the side of the hill, right? You could use it for shelter for sure, but it wasn't like some cavern thing. But they found, and they made castings. And they brought the castings back to LA, and I brought Steve on my TV show right after he got back and presented me with the cast. And we made cast of this too as well. But, so when you see something like this, what do you make of it as a researcher? And that is this evidence to you?
Well, for the children, first off, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. And it's very possible that they're going to get that interest in Bigfoot because of that sighting. Technology is so good right now that some new phones, they have a they have range finders, and they can be used for 3D mapping stuff like these big footprints. And I have Emily Fleur, she recommended an app, and I have it. It's called Polycam. You can get the free version or the paid version. You can take a picture of a big footprint, and it'll give you a 3D model of it. Again, that is called Polycam.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, you get the free version or the paid version for that. So if you're a Bigfoot researcher, it's worth a shot to just at least download and give it a try.
Is it POLY?
Yeah.
Polycam. Yeah, and I think, I'm not sure, I haven't checked it out, but I had heard iPhones now have a night vision, night mode. Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, you have to get Emily Fleur on, Jimmy, from the Forest Floor. She's so grounded. She's so knowledgeable in the field of Bigfoot, much more than myself, that if you want to have this conversation in depth, she would be a great person to have on.
Brown Dwarf. Okay. Yeah, I would love to talk to her. Brown Dwarf says there is extra footage, Jimmy, but I haven't seen it. Body blue raised arms. What is body blue raised arms?
It's an emoji. Like, you can't see it through StreamYard, but on YouTube, if you look in the live chat, it's like a little blue box.
I've been seeing that lately, and I just thought it was like somebody's name in the chat, right? Pink potato green ears, and I thought, man, that's kind of a weird screen name, but okay, all right. I guess
people are very creative.
So that's what that is.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look at YouTube and you're gonna see the emoji.
I've been spending months scrolling back in the chat. Who is bowling ball brain? Whatever. I'm trying to look this. I'm trying to. I mean, did that comment just blow past me? And that's what it is.
That's the only downfall with StreamYard, is that it doesn't show the emojis in the comments. Yeah,
man. I cannot believe that. I've been wasting weeks of my life, weeks that I can never get back. I'll never get it back. Let's take a break right here. Cristina, thank you for stepping in tonight. We are doing Bigfoot tonight. If you have any questions or comments, pop it up in the chat. Everybody is welcome to jump into this show tonight. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We've got Cristina Gomez here with us. We'll be right back. Maybe. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Please visit all of our sponsors. We're taking a quick break here. All of the links are below. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Billy Carson, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. I want to talk to you about a very special event coming up July 30th, 2023, the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We're going to honor people who have been contributing to the conscious community for decades. People that you know and love that have helped you get to higher levels of thought and consciousness and awareness. It's going to be a live in-person event, but seats are going to sell out very fast. You want to make sure you're there in person, and guess what? You can help vote for the winners. Voting is available on forbiddenknowledge.com, and the categories are going to be social media influencer, podcast/radio host, TV host, actor, director, producer, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, philanthropists, authors, field researchers, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, and of course, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'll be your keynote speaker that night at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We have celebrity guests performing. We'll have a halftime show where we're actually going to perform music for you. And don't forget about the pre-event mixer, where if you buy a box seat, we'll be in the VIP section, and you also have private access to a VIP mixer with celebrity guests, shake hands, break bread, network, and then walk the red carpet with us and take amazing photos. It's going to be a night to remember. You don't want to forget this. Make sure you hurry up and get your tickets because they're selling out very fast. I want to see you there. Forbidden Conscious Awards 2023.
On Saturday, April 1st, that's right, April Fool's Day, 2023, I will be hosting the Parapod Festival at the Hyatt Regency right here in Valencia, California. It's a live one-day podcast awards. It's a film festival. It's a full-on media event. We're going to have sky watching. There's going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Linda Moulton Howe. Right now, you can submit your podcast, your film, your TV series, any of your paranormal media for consideration. You can do all of that on the links below. For info and tickets, go to parapodfilmfest.com. That's parapodfilmfest.com. April 7th through the 14th, 2023, I'll be hosting and presenting on the Hidden Secrets Seminar at Sea Cruise. From Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera on the Navigator of the Seas. That's right, up top, a giant water slide. You've got to check out the Navigator of the Seas. It's amazing. We've got Scott Walter, Adam Apollo, Nick Pope, Brad Olson, Vivian Chauvet, Jason Shirka, Robert Grant, Ruben Langdon, and another 12 amazing speakers and presenters. It's all simple to do. Just visit divinetravels.com/Hidden Secrets 2023. You know you want to go on a cruise with me. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Check. I got to make an adjustment here. Check. That's too much. So let's do this. Check. Man, it's still uneven and it wants to be. Man, my compressors, it's like the knobs are what's the word that I want to use? The knobs are dirty in my compressors. Check. And now it's all off balance. Check. I can't get it to balance out. Check. Now now that's correct. Okay. Well, we'll see if that's weird. It's something is funky here. And I just don't know what it is. Okay. All right. I'm going to bring in Cristina. Cristina, you don't know what I am talking about right now, but I have a lot of outboard gear, and I'm watching the balance but now it's back. Man, ghost in the machine. It's ghosts in the machine. Yeah. I don't know how else to explain it. Ghosts in the machine. Let me mute that. See, I don't know. River Moon Coffee. That's what I was. I ran out to get some more during the break. I don't know what I would do without Cristina Gomez and River Moon Coffee to get me through an emergency show about Bigfoot.
You betcha. And I do know about compressors, Jimmy, but all of mine are software compressors.
Yeah, I'm an analog guy. I just
Old
can't
school.
do that. Yeah, well, see, you guys, what do you mean, you guys? You guys, it's all in the software. You guys accept the software world, and us old school Luddites, we just want, no. It's just got to be a piece of gear. It's got to be a piece of gear that you pay a lot of money for, and hardware, and plug in, and it takes up power and fossil fuels. That's what we depend on. Now, what about? Okay, let's back up. The evidence for a lot of us started at the tender age of like 4 and 5 years old. And the abominable snowman on the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas cartoon special. And so I said cartoon, the stop motion.
The claymation.
But they had fur, so I don't know if it's clay. I don't know. But and so when you see that at a very young age, that's as real as anything. Right. And they're presenting you a story that you need to learn a life lesson on, like you should become a dentist, and it's okay to become a dentist if you want to become a dentist, which is what that cartoon or that show was about. It wasn't about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It was about becoming a dentist instead of wanting to be an elf. Right. Well, and so in that, you have the abominable snowman, and you just accept it that you're going to get to meet or see that when you grow up, that the abominable snowman is real, And there you go. Right. And I think that there's a lot of us out there that are okay with looking at it that way, that we've had the abominable snowman that has been part of our life. It doesn't matter if it's Scooby-Doo or the Flintstones, or he was probably on Gilligan's Island, or maybe there was a Bigfoot Brady Bunch special, right? It's always been there for us in popular culture, hasn't it?
It has. And for myself, it was Monsters, Inc. That's how I got exposed to the abominable snowman, and him telling me, don't eat yellow snow. But again, just like First Nation tribes in the US and Canada and tribal people of the Himalayas, they have legends of the Yeti for generations. We see these stories across cultures, across the globe. And Jimmy, we've talked about this before. When we looked into Australia, when we looked into Arizona, when we looked into China and the Yaren, right? And all of these other different countries, it's a consistent story throughout where they have these huge, hairy men, which many of them have described them as such, that stay away from human civilization, but that are incredibly strong, incredibly fast, and huge. So much bigger than your average human. And so it's with those stories and with so many cultures talking about it, so many tribes talking about it. Is there a hint of truth in these stories? Like, that's the question that so many people have when they look into this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we did that on one show on giants as well. It's the same kind of thing. We see the story of giants throughout cultures, and it was eye-opening for me to do the research on those entities. And is there a connection between Bigfoot and giants? We spoke about that. We thought about that question. Is that a possibility? The answer could be yes. I mean, at this point in time, we have to be open-minded and just ask questions. Be a skeptic, of course. Don't believe everything you hear, everything you read. And if someone tells you they have all the answers, they're lying to you. But it's good to ask these questions and to think, is it possible? And for the most part, that answer is leaning towards, yes, it is possible. We just need the evidence. We just need the data to back up what we already believe and what our cultures have taught us throughout the generations.
You make me think of, talking about like letting your mind go and thinking way outside of the box. But what if, okay, well, check this out. What if, and Monica just said this, maybe she was listening to you. My theory is that Bigfoot is a branch of humanoid that did not die off, right? Okay, so, which goes back to your point. Is it possible that maybe Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal, right, or this Denisovan, didn't go extinct, right? Is it possible that Bigfoot could be Cro-Magnon, still surviving, really smart, right? And just, tribes and families, but avoiding us? Is that possible?
What about an evolved form of Gigantopithecus as well, 10 to 15 feet in height?
Sure. I mean, now I know that's getting way out there, but anything is possible. Leonard Stringfield, the physicist, theoretical physicist, will tell you everything is possible. Anything is possible. The craziest thought that you can have will happen at least once someday. It may take a while, but it'll happen. And then, but here's this. People talk about, hey, man, how come there's no dinosaur ghosts? Right? That's pretty good. I kind of like that. Or is Bigfoot a ghost of, right? Is that possible? We talk about an interdimensional species. What if it is interdimensional? What if it's just a ghost of Cro-Magnon, right? What if it's ghosts of just gorillas? Right? Now I know that sounds extreme, but it kind of answers questions. So, and then maybe another situation of all of the above too, as well. It could be a lot of different things.
Well, at the quantum level, everything is chaos, yet everything isn't. At the quantum level, everything exists, and like we both exist and we don't. So yes, I think that a lot of these mysteries we cover we need to think outside of the box, and it also allows us to think outside of the box. And a big reason to why these scientists, these physicists, these researchers are so creative or attempting to find these answers is because they don't lose touch with that inner child curiosity that we usually lose as an adult, because we just think that everything is black and white, that there is no such thing as magic, for instance, which at this point in time, it's generally accepted that quantum mechanics, quantum physics can answer some of these questions about magic that we have been so interested in as children. Jimmy, when you were a child, did you ever like seeing magicians? Which I know it's different from like magic with a K and magic with a C, but just starting off with like your basic card tricks and hiding a ball in your hand. Didn't you enjoy that as a child?
I did. I still do. David Blaine still messes with my head. Check your private chat.
Got it.
Yeah. It made you smile.
Yeah. Very funny.
But there are no coincidences.
There's no such thing as coincidences in my world.
Thing is a coincidence. I thought that's actually pretty cool. Problem solved. Where were we?
About magicians. So you enjoyed those as a child because with our mind capacity at that time, it was possible. Someone could allow something to appear and disappear, but it turns out it's just manipulating your perspective. Now, when we look at quantum mechanics, as Nikola Tesla said, if you understand quantum mechanics, you do not understand quantum mechanics. So I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible, but not even I get it. Okay, so I'm not here to play the card of like, I know everything, because I do not.
Me neither. No. But I tell you, as important and well thought out as that question and statement was, it wasn't good as my DM that I just sent you. Was not. It was good though.
It's very funny. But the paranormal, in many ways, the paranormal can be explained it's in many ways by the uncertainty principle in quantum math as well.
Right.
So I think that everything that we classify as unexplained at some point can be explained when we continue our research in the aspects of advanced science and quantum mechanics.
Well, when you hear a theoretical physicist do their best to explain to us normies, right? Those that don't know how to read a physics algorithm on a whiteboard, right? The most confusing thing in the history of mankind. So they need to explain to us what the math means, right? That's what they're doing. They're doing it so we can visualize and understand, right? And one of the things, to your point, that they want us to understand is that every version of everything is happening right now. There is a version of you and I right now out there with pink hair. Right? Saying the same things, we just have pink hair. There's another version of us out there with our normal hair, but we're speaking backwards. Right? Whatever it is, right? They want us to understand that that's what the math tells us. The math works with this. So therefore, anything that you can imagine right now, which is in this case, we're talking about Bigfoot, right? And now let's take it one more extreme step. The army, the defense forces of India, while in the Himalayas on patrol, on a training missions, this happened more than once, found Yeti footprints. They photographed them. They made reports. They covered it. They went to the media. This went worldwide. We all saw the stories and the quotes and the photographs. Now, wait a minute. What is anything possible here when you're looking? And those were giant. Those were big prints in the snow. They can't be mistaken, a bear or a large elk. I don't know, with big feet. Whatever it is that you think could create that in nature, no. So what do we do with that? Is it possible that something like that is living right now and walking amongst us? Physics says it's so. And there you have the evidence right there, and it's photographed coming from, I would say, professional eyewitnesses, your own military, right?
It seems like it, but Jimmy, you know what fascinates me? It's actually the samurai Bigfoot sounds that Ron Moorhead and Al Berry recorded in the Sierra Nevadas.
Mm-hmm.
That, talking about Bigfoot, that has to be one of my all-time favorite recordings, because when you hear it for the first time, it shocks you. You're like, what the heck am I listening to? And when I first heard it, really not that long ago, I was like, this is actually hilarious. This is very, very funny, because it really does sound like angry samurai for sure. And for those that haven't heard, it is something that I do recommend. You can find it on YouTube. Just type in the samurai Bigfoot sounds, or even the recording of Sierra Nevadas, and you're going to be blown away. But Jimmy, when you first heard it, what was going through your mind?
It sounded authentic. And the other, you have to, and I've thought this a lot about those recordings. You have to imagine what else could be making that, right? What else could be creating that sound like that? And it was pretty freakish too. It was pretty original. It didn't sound like anything else I had heard before. So, what else could be making that sound? I got an email in. Let me just read this, because this person isn't on Twitter, and they want to know if there have been Bigfoot sightings in Florida. And this is from Noel. Yes, the answer is yes, all over Florida. But
it's called the skunk ape.
Yes, the skunk ape. I don't think maybe Antarctica, but I don't think that there is a continent or a state or anywhere that there hasn't been a Bigfoot, Yeti, or Sasquatch sighting, right? I think that's global, right? All cultures have their own version of it.
Yes, from the research that I've done, the shows that we've done together, Jimmy, on my channel, while we cover certain states or certain countries, there's always one story of a Bigfoot legend or a Bigfoot sighting. Now, when we're looking at Florida, they have their own name, and that's called the skunk ape, because it's so hot, it's so humid there. Bigfoot already smell bad from the alleged sightings. But when you're dealing with that kind of weather and that kind of environment, I simply cannot imagine how bad they would smell. And obviously it's so bad that they're called and commonly known in that area as skunk apes. Now, even in the UK, there are also hairy giants, giant stories there as well. And it's a pretty small nation. Like, where the heck would those beings hide? So maybe the interdimensional theory applies to them there. And if so, couldn't that be applied in any country, any state?
Right. It's such a great point about the UK, right? I I believe I have to look this up, but the last woolly mammoth was on an island, I think near off the coast of Maine, near Canada, just like 6,000 years ago, right? Way after the Ice Age, right? And so you, how did it get there? That's not even the point, right? So the fact is that they were there and they were still alive, and maybe would still be alive today if they could have gotten off that island, kind of like Gilligan, and which takes you back to the United Kingdom and the possibility of Bigfoot being there. I would say absolutely running around with King Arthur.
Why not? Right. But looking at Florida, it's flat, right? There's no mountains to hide. Then you have Ohio as well with the Grassman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm getting at is you're dealing with so many different terrains, so many different environments. However, there have been multiple sightings of Bigfoot across the planet, everywhere, even in the frigid cold areas like the Himalayas where you have the Yeti. And so are they able to adapt the way that humans can, where they can adapt in almost any environment? Could that be the same for these entities? And it's just one of those conversations, one of those topics that are so fascinating. I know that a lot of Bigfoot researchers are so passionate about this because you have so many places to pull your information from, so many places to do your research, and you could possibly find something or speak to a witness who has seen something, compared to a few other cases, a few other cryptids that are very specific in certain parts of the world, such as the chupacabra, right, which is only in certain parts of
That's
South
right.
America. Now, in Ohio, it's also known as the Minerva monster, I believe.
Minerva.
Thank you. I was going from memory, so it was like something around there. The Minerva monster. And then you have the Mogollon monster in Arizona that we've talked about. Then you have the Natinak in Portlock, Alaska, I believe. And so you're having all these different names for the same cryptid that look genuinely similar with a few variations and in different locations.
I was just looking. I can't find it. I would have shared this with everybody. I've got it hidden in some folder. I've got some footage that was shot in Texas. All right, around the Galveston area that a friend of mine took with his daughter and son. The three of them were in Texas. Now, a lot like Florida, right? It's not the Pacific Northwest. We're talking about Galveston, Texas, where there are no trees. And this was down after there was like a hurricane that came through, some major storms, and there was some flooding in the area of Galveston while they were down there. And they went out and they were just taking a walk on a dirt road in this marshlands, flatlands. There's nothing there. There's no trees. But up in front of them, probably quarter mile, maybe even a half a mile ahead, is a Bigfoot walking on the road in front of them. And so his daughter shot this cell phone video, and they were jogging. You can hear them run and talking, trying to catch up to it. And they shot this video, and this thing is walking. You can see it. I zoomed in on it. I wanted to show it to everybody. Anyway, I'm not going to look for it. But you can see this thing walking, black hands, black feet. There are a couple of moments when you can tell that he kind of turns around and looks, black face, right? And just keeps walking and stays in front. And they're running. They are, you can hear their feet on the dirt road, you know, and they're trying to, and they never, and this thing never runs. It's just walking in these big strides. And then it makes a left-hand turn and goes off into the grasslands and disappears. So when they get up to what they think is that spot in the road, they're looking all over and it's gone. It's a crazy video. It's 10 minutes long. Yeah.
I've not heard of this.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I just remembered the name of the video. Let me see if I might have moved it onto another drive.
Oh, I want to see it.
But let me see. Is that how you spell it? Am I spelling it wrong? I'm spelling it wrong.
Oh, the suspense is killing me, Jimmy.
I cleaned off my drive a couple of months ago. I might have moved that onto another drive, but it did not show up. Let me see here. Hold on. I think once it's gone, right? Let's see. Let me see. If I moved it to this other drive, please be here. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to waste good, solid airtime on this. But that's an example of. Now, I talked to I think I talked to them both. I think I talked to the son and the daughter, the dad. I know, and I talked to them for a minute on this, and they were young. I think they were like 16, 17 years old. But to get their versions of, and I said, look, in the video, it looks really far away, but you can see that whatever it was all black, that there was no shoes. The hands weren't, a different color. The face was definitely, but it was hot. It was humid. It was muggy. It was the middle of the day. And was taking really, really big strides, slow strides compared to us where we were running, and it just didn't make any sense, and we could not catch up to it. And like I said, it's a 10-minute video, and it's so long with them running. You're expecting Bigfoot to, whatever it is, to get closer. Never does. Just stays out there. It's like this big, man, way up on the path. And so I zoomed it up, and zoomed it up. It's all pixelated, but I could see the stride and the walking. And like I said, a couple of times he looks over his shoulder. But yeah, it's a crazy video. Now, is it definitive proof of anything? It's worse than the Tic Tac video or whatever, the gimbal footage. It's like worse than that. But it's very interesting. Then you combine that with the eyewitness testimony and what they felt that they were seeing, and you combine that with this and how you can see it turn left and walk into the grass. It's not trees; it's just like knee-high grass. And when they finally get up to that spot in the road and they start looking around, there's just nothing there, nothing but sand and grass for miles. It just disappeared. Yeah, it's a crazy video. It's pretty cool. And so the question was about Florida. Well, I think that Bigfoot is seen everywhere. And the skunk ape, they have the skunk ape festivals in Florida. They party, right? This is like I've seen the billboards, right? And I would say that just about every state in the United States has got their own version of Bigfoot or Sasquatch and a festival that goes along with it.
That's pretty exciting. I just want to answer K13's question, asking, will Cristina be at the UK Awakening Expo with you this year? And I do want to mention that no, I'm not doing any conferences, no expos, no festivals. I am all in with finishing university this year, for those that didn't know, finishing strong with my bachelor's degree, and that definitely comes first. So I can't travel or sacrifice the time, sadly, but I will be watching that online. It will be online, right, Jimmy?
What are you going to, so you've got 15 shows that you do a week.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, you've got 15
It's
shows.
actually 16, Jimmy.
Is it 16? Is that all going to continue after you graduate?
So For those that don't know, I'll be graduating over the summer. I'll be purchasing an RV and I'll be traveling the United States, hitting all of the UFO and paranormal hotspots and documenting all of that. So the channel is going to change slightly in the future. So it's all really just going to depend on my mentality, on how I want to continue the channel as that comes along. But right now, I am doing 3 shows a week. Tuesday is Top 5, The Weird and Mysterious. Thursday is Mysteries with a History with Jimmy Church. And then Friday is Weekly Strange News. And tomorrow, it's going to be with Jimmy and our dear friend Micah Hanks as well for our monthly roundtable where we cover all the strange news and mysterious headlines from around the world. And while that's only 3 shows a week, it takes up a lot of my time while also being a full-time student and having a job as well. So we're just going to have to play it by ear to see what happens as the year progresses after purchasing the RV. But at this point in time, I will not be attending any conferences, expos, or festivals.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you graduate in the summer. Your first conference will be in the fall. There's my prediction.
I don't know about that, but I guess we'll see.
It's going to be in August. You're not even going to wait for the fall. It's going to be in August. Are you going to, because I've been thinking about this, all right? And I'm trying to work out the logistics because I am probably, I keep saying this every week that I'm going to pull the trigger on this, but I'm looking at a teardrop trailer, right?
Which is like only a bed.
What's that?
It's only a bed.
Well, it's whatever you want. Well, yeah. There's no stand-up shower. There's no granite countertops, Christine. Nothing like what you're going to have in your RV. It's not going to have any of that. But it's going to have solar power, and it's got, it's a teardrop trailer that I can tow with the Jeep. But the point is, I want internet connection.
So important.
I don't want 5G, right? So I've got to work that part out. Am I going to get some kind of satellite dish, or how is it going to be, some Tesla, Starlink, Elon Musk setup? I don't even know how that stuff works. But how am I going to get to a high-speed internet connection so I can do this while I'm out on the road? You've got to tackle that same thing. Have you figured out what you're going to do about a remote internet, high-speed internet connection?
Well, I have been thinking about using Elon Musk's new satellites and seeing how that will go. I've heard some really good reviews. Zenza Bill, who is our mod, has told me good things about it. So I'm probably going to look into something like that. For the time being, because I don't know if hotspots will be able to maintain all of the streaming that I'll be doing. So
you can't do that. Can't do that. Are you saying Zenzabil? Pop that up in the chat right now. Are you using Starlink? That Jimmy's going to have to link up at Starbucks.
and that internet isn't even that great. Could you imagine vlogging or streaming with everyone watching, drinking their coffee and judging you? No, I'm gonna hardcore pass on that. And then even if you park right in the parking lot of Starbucks, it's just not going to be strong enough. So I am looking at Starlink. I know it's a pretty expensive startup, but it's so far having good reviews. More satellites are being launched out, so hopefully the internet will get better as that progresses. But to answer Jessica, because I know she has a question, after I finish school and hit the road, are we still going to do Mysteries with a History every single week, Jimmy? So I think that we definitely will collaborate on something, maybe video updates or something like van life. We'll totally change probably everything that I do. So live streams will really just depend on where I am and what I'm doing. But of course, I'll let Jimmy know 20 minutes before the show starts and say, hey, Jimmy, we're going to do a show right now.
Yeah. I've got a few favors to return. I was out doing my normal jot around the internet, looking at different teardrop trailers, and I've got it narrowed down to 2, and I'm ready. But so when you do that, You got the video suggestions and you start clicking. And I got on this van life vlogging YouTube channel, and it was this couple that are in two different vans. They're both solo, right? But they travel the country together. I don't know if they're a couple, but it's a man and a woman that travel the country together. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're romantically involved, but nonetheless, I get tied up in her vlog, and she's talking about van life, and she's got a lot of million subscribers to her channel, and she had been doing it for about a year and a half. All right, and then I watched one of her videos that said the 10 things that suck about van life. Right. Okay, and now she's got a really nice, she's got a van. It's all organized, very nice, and she's out, on the cliff of the Grand Canyon doing yoga, and she's got her laundry drying in the background, whatever, right? She's in van. And very interesting. It was very cool. Anyway, so the 10 things that suck. You know what the number one suckiness thing, and I never even thought about this. Showers.
Well, that's why I'm going to have a shower in mine.
Yeah. I mean, it was her number one thing. She goes, look, van life, you see somebody driving around in a van like this, and it's cool, but you have to adapt. And one of those things that I had to figure out on the fly is showers.
Yeah. No, see, I'm not going to sacrifice that. That is going to be in the RV.
And so I'm thinking about that teardrop, right? And what's the deal? They have the outdoor shower option on the teardrop thing.
I've seen those.
Right? Yeah. Okay. All right. In an emergency, right? Okay. That's fine. But what about the normal shower? What are you doing about that? Or if you do a 3-day excursion, you're not out there for a month, right? You're just out for 3 days and back. Don't take a shower. Just come back stinky and jump in, your shower as soon as you get home. I could understand that, and doing this emergency thing outside. But that was her number one, and it really got me thinking about that. I didn't consider it. And you know what else she said? I don't want to freak you out. This is my show. I can say it. She said the other thing with van life, number 2, going to the bathroom.
Uh-oh. Well, that's why there would also be a toilet in my RV, because I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But you won't be doing that in your RV. You thought it, that, right? You can't do it. No. Number 1 all day long. You go to an RV place, right? Okay, now I want you to think about this, Christina. I can see you doing it too. Okay, you're at your RV place. You're with the sales guy, and he goes, "So, okay, but I got a question. It's got a bathroom, right? Yeah, it's got a full shower. It's got everything. It's got a full bath. Okay, what about number 2? Nope. But you can't. No, you're not ever. But what? No, Christina, listen to me. This is your salesman. No, ever. Why? If you want me to explain, I will. But just know this. Ever. So now you have to put that, and that was her number 2 complaint.
It's only appropriate to be the number 2 complaint.
Yeah, I know, right. And these are things to consider. Really, honestly, and I bet you this is all over the comments right now. Jimmy's right. Jimmy,
look, Jimmy, I'll
derailed here, huh?
I'll figure it out. But anyway, what you had mentioned about this couple or whatever they are, that's kind of what I want to do. I mean, like, to do video blogs, vlogs, like the actual road trips themselves,
Right.
what it takes to do it, living on the road in the hotspots. So I don't know whether I will launch a separate channel for that or not, but that's something that definitely interests me. But then I'll also be installing research equipment, external cameras, and thermal camera mounts, and a ceiling roof as well. That along with sky pointed cameras. So, because I want to do that field research for all of these mysteries: Bigfoot, UFOs, cryptids, the supernatural. And here's the thing, okay? I will more than likely camp at Skinwalker Ranch in the first year as well, which will be incredibly exciting. So, and I've mentioned this to you a few times, but this is something that I've been planning for like 4 to 5 years. So I cannot talk about it enough because it's going to change my entire lifestyle of living in a small dorm apartment, going to university, to being a full-time boots on the ground researcher slash content creator. Now, I've been very lucky to work alongside you, Jimmy, for the last year and a little bit of doing extensive research on these topics, so that when I do boots on the ground investigations, I will be equipped with the knowledge more so than those that do this boots on the ground investigations blind.
Right.
So I have to say thank you to you personally for helping me with my research.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And I appreciate that. And thanks go both ways. But here's the other thing: you're not going to be live streaming all the time. You're going to be capturing evidence. You're going to be capturing footage, and that's going to be edited. That's going to be done offline and then uploaded later. So you don't necessarily have to be, full bang on, heights, you know what I mean? High speed connected to get the research done and to gather evidence. The live streaming could be done, once a week when you're in the right spot. It doesn't have to be every single night. I would like it to be every single night, but that even if you did have access to that, that's not what you're going to be doing. You're going to be capturing the evidence and doing your own investigations. That's how I kind of picture it.
Well, this is why I've been taking extracurricular courses in documentary filmmaking, to be equipped with knowing how to properly document things and then edit them properly. Because you're right, I won't have access to internet 24/7. I won't be able to live stream in certain remote areas. But having the knowledge on how to properly record, hopefully I'm not going to be getting blurry, crappy blobs of things that are unexplained like we get so often right now. I'm not saying that I won't get those as well, but it is something to keep in mind and to be optimistic about for sure.
I can't wait for it. I think that a lot of people out there were thinking just that, because they know that you're not going to be in school forever. Eventually, you are going to graduate, and you've been giving everybody the warning shots about this. It's coming up this summer, and we all know about your RV fund and what your plans are. What happens to everything else that you're doing? Because you've got a studio set up, you've got things, you've got your music, you've got your keywords, you got things. You just, whatever's on your mind, you turn around and you flip a switch and you write a song, you're uploading, you're doing a live stream, you've got a 24-hour live stream running, right? You've got you can do whatever you want at the drop of a hat. I call you up, Cristina, live in 10 minutes. Let's go, right? Well, that won't be the case once you drive off in the RV. So what will happen with your mindset of your weekly activities and what's going to continue and what's not?
That's a great question. I will say that if I think about something, nothing's going to hold me back but myself. So if I'm sold on something, I'm going to go for it. Just like how you had mentioned, I started a music channel called Cosmic Portals. It's a space ambient music channel to help you fall asleep, help you relax, help you meditate. I have insomnia. That's why I'm able to do so many things in one day, because I do not sleep. So I have to apply extra makeup to look like I'm not dead. But looking at creating music, yes, I bought an external keyboard to create that, because doing it on the laptop is a very, very difficult. I will say this. I do have similar equipment to yourself with controlling the volume commercials and music. I have that as well. But when we get closer and closer to getting the RV, the whole lifestyle is going to change, but that isn't going to stop my ambitions. And I'm not going to have this self-doubt of, no, I can't do this right now, because I am not only my worst critic, but only I can stop myself. I had so many people tell me, Cristina, you can't do that. Cristina, you can't do this. You're not ready for that. And you know what I tell them? I turn around, I flick them the bird, and I said, you're out of your mind. Only I can tell myself that. Nobody else can.
Check this out. You know, what you got to do, when anybody, I think that the drive in so many people that are successful and get things done are those that were told that they can't.
That's right.
You can't be president. You can't have your own company. You can't be a musician. You don't have a voice. You can't be a singer, whatever it is. You limit somebody and then boom, right? Do you remember my fader fact the other day? I think it was a fader fact that at New York University, Lady Gaga went to NYU. And while she was a student there, a group of students got together and started a Facebook page that she would never be famous. Right? They started.
That's a slap in the face for them.
Right? Go, and if you really want to see somebody succeed, tell them that they can't. Right? It's really that simple. Tell somebody not to do it. Well, you know what? Don't steal those cookies out of the cookie jar, Jimmy. They're all in my bedroom later that day. Right? You just don't do that. Don't just no. If you want to see somebody fail, tell them they can do it.
You got this. Go for it.
Right, because then they won't do it. Right? You gotta think devilishly. You gotta think deviously. You gotta think like that. You think you're hurting somebody's feelings by telling them they can't do it? No, you're giving them the motivation. Tell them, oh, you're going to be just fine. Yeah, you got this. No, that's it. It's over. They won't do it. Oh, man, I've got people thinking right now. So what do we now? Tomorrow we are, and thank you for jumping in and pinch hitting tonight. Ronnie LeBlanc, I hope everything is good. We will reschedule and get Ronnie on the show next week. But do you have a list of topics? Tomorrow's our roundtable. What are we gonna do?
Tomorrow is our roundtable, looking at all of the strange news and mysterious headlines from around the world. I will send you those notes 3 hours before the show starts, as I do every single month, which is awesome because they're very detailed. For those that don't know, my notes are pucker. They are to the curb, as Jimmy says. Where's the beanie, Jimmy? By the way,
did you? Chuck Fay came into the studio last night. Check this out. Hold on. Let me show you what I had to do.
Oh, I'm excited. Maybe he played the guitar for Chuck. That'd been awesome. Maybe he wore a beanie.
Chuck Fay was here last night. This was my stack of beanies and hats that was right here. And I was like, I can't have a messy studio. Look at this. Look at it. Look at all this stuff. And I had now it's moved back. So now I moved it. And I just stuffed everything in the corner over there and kind of hid it from Chuck. So, but look, they're all right here. And so I had something important to say. What were we just talking about? Hold on. I just had something important to say. Oh. There's a documentary. Okay, so 10 years ago, Cristina.
10 years ago.
I want you to listen to me. 10 years ago, MH370 disappeared. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370.
Right.
And that happened while I was live on the air. And so from that day forward, especially over the next 30 days, but I'm doing coast to coast, I'm doing Fade to Black, the mystery of MH370. Everybody's searching. Australia's got boats in the water. The United States government it's big mystery, right? Well, they just had it's an okay no, it's above okay. It's between good and great. It's somewhere in there. It's like an 80. Nice. A documentary on series. I think it's 4 parts on Netflix. What do you think about that? This is the anniversary of it, and I cannot believe it's been 10 years. It's like crazy to me. And maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow on the show, but that is that in this day and age, with GPS and satellites and tracking software and cell phones and boats and radar and everything that we have today, how is it possible to lose a plane with 300 passengers, 300 people? How is it possible to fly out of Kuala Lumpur on your way to Beijing, China, flying over Vietnam, which has some pretty good radar systems, and everything else, the South China Sea? How is it possible to lose an airplane? Now, talk about a mystery, right? What do you think of that? What do you think happened to MH370?
I can't come to a conclusion, to be honest. It's really a bunch of weirdness and a loud silence from experts. So I'm at a loss even to think that something could be a fairly suitable explanation, because my mind wonders about the more exotic options, actually, like portals. Maybe.
I know. Man, I am right there. So when you go to, well, maybe it's aliens. Well, in this case, right, I'm just like, wow. And we can find the Titanic.
Right.
Right. We can find the Titanic, 17,000 feet of water. How do we lose an airplane? We knew exactly. And here's the other, if you really want to go insane, what they are telling us with the tracking of it, where it made a U-turn, right, then flew over a few more. It flew through 7 or 8 countries' airspace, right? Okay, right, 7 or 8 countries, and at that same time, the United States was having military exercises. We were landing on beaches. We had the Marines, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, right? This multinational thing, cooperate, and all of this sophisticated equipment and surveillance and sensor systems. And we know nothing. Tra-la-la. No. So was it a portal? Is it something that crazy?
Wouldn't that be cool though? I mean, probably terrifying, but imagine, this is an episode of The Twilight Zone as well, where you had pilots, and I think it's in a movie as well, and I don't remember what the movie was called, but someone in the live chat will probably know which movie I'm referring to, where pilots, where they went through a portal and on the other end were dinosaurs.
That's 50 movies. It's not just
a bunch of them.
50. I watched Beyond the Time Barrier. I watched that 1956. Watched that 2 days ago. It was awesome.
But could you imagine? The nice thing is that when you're on a plane with so many other passengers, you're not going through that experience alone, right? But if you were to walk through a portal, like if you're in the middle of nowhere in a forest by yourself, maybe with your dog, you have no one to not only relay your experiences to, but no one to give you moral support when you're in an environment that you know nothing about. You don't know if the grass is actually greener on the other side, or if you're seeing these monstrosity, ginormous spiders that are ready to eat you. Okay, like you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Now, if you were given the opportunity of a portal just open up in front of you, I've asked you this 1,000 times, would you go? And you said, only if you have a string attached to you, if you can pull yourself back out there. But
yeah, right. Yes. Yes. I have said that. There is a film. I'm popping it up right now in the chat. This is the Wikipedia page for it. I'm sure it is available. You guys go and look it up. It's called Millennium. It's with Chris Christopherson and Charlie's Angel, Cheryl Ladd. And now this is talk about a disappearing plane, right? This is a time travel disappearing plane movie. I think it's one of the greatest time travel disappearing plane movies ever made. It's a fantastic film. And I know what you're thinking, Chris Christopherson and Cheryl Ladd, I've never heard of it. This movie is fan-friggin-tastic. And I'm going to watch it tonight after Fade to Black. Okay, as soon as we're done, and we are done, I'm going to go watch this. And it's an amazing film. Is it the answer to MH370? I think it's more amazing to me that here we are 10 years on into this, and we don't know any more today than we did the night that the plane disappeared off our radar. And it did too. It disappeared. Yeah, crazy. Cristina, thank you so much. Thank you for coming in tonight. Thank you for picking up my phone call. Fantastic show. Love talking about Bigfoot. Everybody had a great time. Thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow on, what's the news program called?
Weekly Strange News.
Weekly Strange, as it should be. I'll see you tomorrow on Weekly Strange News. We've got Micah Hanks joining us, and it's going to be amazing. So I'll see you in the morning. Have a great night. Go watch Millennium.
Bye, Jimmy.
See you later. Cristina Gomez, thank you so much. And man, she just backed out of here. I've literally looked down. She was already gone. She double clicked and bailed. So I had a great time tonight. The show must go on. Thank you, Cristina, again, for picking up my phone call and helping me out tonight and all of the Fadernauts. Very, very cool. Thank you so much. I want everybody to have a great, safe, fun, amazing weekend. Go watch Millennium, the film. Chris Christopherson and Cheryl Ladd. Don't jump to conclusions. It's amazing. Fade to Black is produced by LJ Palmer, Renee Dennis, and Kevin. Webmasters Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this podcast is owned and copyrighted 2023 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm going to go watch Millennium. You have a great, safe, fun, amazing weekend. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Teppy.